Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about fleet sales because we finally have some data from February and it shows how much the fleet market really is exploding. Before we get into this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And then if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Let's get into it. So the headline figure from Cox Automotive on fleet sales is that they are up by 48% year over year. In February of this year, there was over 183,000 vehicles sold to fleets, which is, again, a huge increase. Now, if you're wondering, if we dive into the individual fleets with rental fleets, the sales with those were up by 77% year over year. Government fleets were up by 42% year over year. And then finally, commercial fleets were up 23% year over year. And here's the little chart that they have. Let me zoom in on that for you guys so you can see that. The ones that are like the really small graphs, those are the fleet sales. The very, very large graph, that is retail sales. So retail sales have also had an increase year over year, but only by 4.3%. So everything is up across the board when it comes to new car vehicle sales. It's just that retail isn't up nearly as much as what we're seeing on the fleet side of things. And because of these strong fleet sales, this actually pushes up the estimated amount of new cars that are going to be sold in 2023. Last month, the Cox Automotive was estimating it was going to be 14.4 million, whereas now their estimate is 14.9 million new cars will be sold this year, which is, again, a pretty big increase, especially from last year. Now, the thing to note that I think is the most important statistic out of this whole bundle is the market share that the fleet sales are taking up. 17.7% of new car sales are now fleet sales, and that is up from 14.2% that it was last year, and in January it was 16.5%. So not only have fleet sales increased from a year over year basis, which, I mean, pretty much everything has to increase from a year over year basis because 2022 is so constrained with new car sales, but things have increased from a month over month basis as well. And then the other big news has to pertain to the automakers that are benefiting the most from this, and well, it's Stellantis and Ford. And I can tell you anecdotally, I see this on the ground because the dealers that I film for that will do these courtesy fleet deliveries, where basically the car gets shipped to their dealership and then they just deliver it to the fleet customer for the automaker. Well, I can tell you those dealers have been just jam-packed with cars, especially Ford dealers, especially Stellantis dealers, and also Chevy dealers as well. They didn't say that General Motors had as big of an increase, but like I've seen a lot of fleet vehicles at GM stores as well. And so basically, this is kind of like a quote-unquote safety net in a way for these automakers, especially the automakers that benefit greatly from these fleet sales, to increase or improve, the overall volume that they're going to have this year that they're not getting from the retail side of things. So let's talk about what these fleet sales actually mean for the market. First off, I still stand by this statement that I believe that these fleet sales are going to give automakers pricing power that they currently really need in this market, because again, although retail sales are technically up year over year, you can see that the increase in retail sales pales in comparison to the increase in volume with fleet sales. And so this gives automakers an opportunity to kind of retool and re-gear things towards these fleet customers, build more of these fleet vehicles, build less of the retail vehicles. And again, you have automakers like General Motors literally saying that they're going to not produce trucks for a couple of weeks to keep their pricing power. And so this is going to be another tool for automakers to use this year to keep that pricing power, to prevent them from having to release incentives or having to release cemented rates on vehicles, whatever it may be, that will basically be them giving up cash that's they would rather just take as profits. And I don't see this as being just a 2023 thing. I see this as being a thing for the next few years, because what you have to remember is that a lot of these companies are purchasing these vehicles in bulk right now because they haven't been able to purchase them for like the last 3 years. And so you have a lot of fleet cars that are in desperate need of being replaced. And so this is like a 3-year pent up thing. And so until all of this demand is met, we're going to see normal than higher fleet sales for the foreseeable future, which means that until automakers get production back up to pre-pandemic levels and meet this fleet demand, automakers are going to have a lot of, basically confirmed vehicle sales that then they won't be making for retail customers, if that makes sense. Again, if an automaker has a choice between making a vehicle for a retail customer that may or may not buy, or they can make a vehicle for a fleet customer that will for sure buy, they're probably going to go down the fleet route. And so, obviously I'll just continue to follow this as things evolve, but that is my guess, at least as to what is going to happen, is we're going to continue to see higher fleet sales. This is going to give automakers pricing power, which means we're not going to see, we might see some rebates, but we're not going to see rebates on anywhere near what we saw prior to the pandemic anytime soon, until this fleet demand is somewhat met, which is probably going to take the next, 2, maybe 3 years to meet all this demand with all the vehicles that, again, these fleet companies and the government, all these different parties that use these fleet vehicles, all of them need to be replaced. So it'll definitely take some time. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this fleet situation. I'll see you.